This video is about turning a 1993 Bajaj Chetak into a Vespa Sprint. Bajaj made the Vespa under license. It is absolutely identical. All the parts are interchangeable, panels are interchangeable. It is exactly the same bike, made, I expect, from the same tooling in a different factory in India. Bajaj are better known for the tuk-tuk. They make the iconic Asian tuk-tuk. You see it everywhere in Asia. Also, of course, made in India, and is also based on the same mechanicals as the Vespa scooter, and is exactly the same to drive. Same gear change, same clutch, same brake position. It is. If you can drive a Vespa scooter, you can drive a tuk-tuk. There are 4 things you have to change. First, and most importantly, is the horrendous plastic thing on the front. This houses the horn and also the front indicators. You have to change this for the pressed steel horn cover that you find on the earlier models. The second thing you have to change is a saddle. On the 90s bike you have this long saddle, and on the 60s bikes you have these gorgeous 2 separate saddles. The third thing you need to change is a fuel filler. When you take off the long saddle you can now see fully exposed the fuel filler, and you have to change this for the hinging, locking, chrome filler that you get on the 60s bikes. The fourth and final thing you have to change is the indicators. The 60s bike doesn't have them, the 1990s bike does. You have to work out whether you want to keep them or whether you scrap them. This is down to safety versus aesthetics. So the horn cover. This is probably the most significant job visually, and also the most difficult job to do, to convert the bike from one to the other. When you take the plastic horn cover off, you'll see 2 holes for the indicators. These need to be welded shut and filled. Then you'll see that the ignition barrel with the ignition lock on it sticks out quite a long way. This stops you putting an original horn cover straight on. What I did is I bought a lower horn cover pressing that factory made, and then had the upper part made from scratch by a metal worker. On the original it slopes down to nothing. What I had to do is make mine protrude ½ inch all the way up. As you see from the photographs, I think it looks quite good. The tinker, Sri Lankan metalworker, made such a good job of it, it looks like it came out of a factory. And I actually quite like the look of it. It's not original, but to my eyes, it looks absolutely fine. So we had to make the upper horn cover. I bought from eBay the lower horn cover, which is the most difficult part, would have been the most difficult part to make. And then we made the upper part. Second thing is the saddles. The 90s bike has the long saddle, the 60s bike has these 2 separate saddles. I went for the option of having a buddy seat and the sort of sprung triangular saddle. The buddy seat is uncomfortable. If you want to do long trips with 2 people, you're better off getting 2 sort of triangular sprung saddles. I paid for the 2 saddles 129 quid. It's the most expensive thing I did on the bike, but also was the easiest bit to change. The 90s bike has exactly the same frame. All the captive nuts are there. All you have to do is unbolt the long saddle, and you can just bolt straight on the buddy seat and the driver's seat. Both just bolt straight on, and the captive nuts there. Everything really, really, really easy to do. The third thing is a fuel filler. This is arguably as difficult, if not more difficult, than changing the horn cover over. It's something which you may be better not changing if you don't feel strongly about it, because you have to actually weld on the hinge tubes, and then on top of that you actually have to weld on a raised rim for the cap to close onto. There just isn't an easy way of doing it. You just got to cut it out of sheet metal and then bash it so it's raised and then weld it on. Luckily in Sri Lanka there are loads of skilled metal workers, which made it very easy for me, but not very easy for the guy doing it. Does look great. It's a great detail, and I sort of kind of felt I had to do it to pull off the look. But, you know, make up your mind, is it worth doing? Lastly is the indicators. The 90s bike has them, the 60s bike doesn't. Frankly, it looks better without them, but I wanted them safety-wise. I got chrome bullet indicators off eBay. They're about, I think, £6.50 or £9 a pair. They look great. Chrome was terrible quality, only lasted about 6 months. But they seem to look fine. I slung the front two under the handlebars. They're only just about clear. They had to grind down the nuts and things to actually get them high enough to clear the top of the front. The back ones, I bolted either side of the backlight. Again, it's not as good as not having them visually, but safety wise, for me, on balance, I thought it would be better to include them.